You have tuned in to Fail and Grow. It's an OPEX, there is to say Operational Excellent podcast show. So Fail and Grow is for you who want to increase your revenue and become more profitable. I mean, who doesn't? This is actually season 7. And you, the one who are listening, are fortunate enough to learn and laugh and listen to world-class leaders within operational excellence, who are not just full of knowledge, but also humble enough to share their fuck-ups and what they learned from it. And your host is me, Wilma. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of VeloxQ, Configure, Price, Quote. So what we do, that is, we increases the user adoption of your CRM. We take away all unnecessary spreadsheet where you do your pricing and quoting as of today, and we ensure that it's an error-free process. And that will lead to, of course, an increased revenue and profitability.
Okay, today's episode of Fail and Grow, I have the true pleasure to have another female entrepreneur and founder as the guest. She has been with Meltwater for almost a decade, very, very successfully, managed very quickly and early in her career to be one of the managing directors at Meltwater. She led then the Swedish newbies team after have been one of the top sales representative globally at Meltwater. And then she moved on being the CMO at Netigate and learned by real life experience of the OKR process and how could really beneficial teams working towards the same goal. And then, Sophie, you founded, I hope I pronounce it correctly now, Noxit, and you have been that successful in this terrible market, if you ask me. So now you're actually doing a VC round to accelerate growth even further and expanding to North America. Sophie Hedestad, it's a true pleasure having you here. Warmly welcome.
Thank you so much, Wilma.
Good meeting you. And with your own words, what do you do? Who are you? What do Noxit do?
I think you made a good introduction. It was nice, so I don't need to tell you about myself again. But yeah, I've been working within SaaS since 2011 in commercial roles, as you mentioned, sales and marketing. And I founded Noxit in 2023 together with Robert and Matilda. And it was after experience a lot of headache and problems myself with cascading goals in an organization. And I researched a lot of platforms out there, and I didn't think anyone was easy enough and user-friendly enough for me to implement it in the organization I was at back then at Netigate. And I decided to start my own company, Noxit, and you pronounce it the right way, Noxit, yeah.
And OKRs, to those who aren't that, maybe haven't learned about it as much as you and I have, what is it? What does it stand for and who is it for?
Yeah, so it stands for Objectives and Key Results, and it actually is famous from being Google's goal-setting framework. So originally it was this man called Andy Grove, that worked at Intel in the 70s, so it's a very, very old framework. He had an intern called John Doerr, and John Doerr actually invested in Google really early on, and he was implementing OKRs within Google. And that's where the framework is really, really famous from. And what is nice with a method or a framework is that it actually helps you, it actually guides you when you have questions like what should my rhythm be? What kind of ceremonies or meetings should I have? So it's nice because otherwise you kind of need to invent all of this yourself. And it's a super, super easy framework. So it's really similar to a lot of other frameworks like ROCs and must-win battles that you might heard about as well. So it's a framework or method for rolling out or cascading goals throughout an organization. So everyone works in the same direction. So the problem today is often that the manager together with the employee set kind of yearly goals. If you're not in sales, because in sales it's really clear that you should sell an amount every month, right? But when you're in HR, when you're in finance, when you're in marketing, it could be not as clear as when you're in sales. So here you get the whole organization to work towards the shared goals. That's the method, right? And yeah, to break it down for everyone. And it's also very nice, right? Because all employees want to know what's expected from them, to know what kind of success looks like.
And when it's a company, I mean, from where in the company journey, if it's number of employees or customers or markets or whatever, from where is it beneficial to implement OKRs? And then sliding on to Noxit's ICP, who are you ideal for?
So I think if you talk to any startup, I guess they use kind of OKRs because it's so famous and it's widely adopted out there. So if you talk to a startup with 5 people, they probably work with OKRs or something similar like that, or KPI tracking, or they have some kind of goal setting. But I think OKRs is good because you need to prioritize and you need to kill your darlings. You cannot do 100 things at the same time. You need to focus on your 3 objectives and like 1 to 3 key results you want to achieve. So I think it helps you focus either if you're 5 employees or 5,000 employees. It should be simple, right? But I don't think you need to make a big process out of it when you're 5 people. But when you're approaching like 15 to 20 people and you're leading the company, I think it's quite nice to cascade and create ownership in the organization. So I think from 15 people, I think you should get some structure around it. And I think it could be beneficial to have kind of a platform and not work in spreadsheets and PowerPoint slides that most executive is doing their goal setting in. So we don't need to talk about OKRs. It's more about cascading strategy and cascading goals, because most organizations have some kind of strategy. If you're bigger, you might have this 3-year business plan. So OKRs would be to break this down in clear operational goals for the year or for the quarter based on the strategy. And that's why some say strategy execution.
Right. And Noxit's ICP, is it from 15 employees and upwards, or do you have a special sweet spot?
Yeah, so we started to sell the platform 12 months ago. I mean, we're still finding our ICP in a way, because we have customers that's 15 employees and we have a customer that is 10,000 employees. So it's a wide spread, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have a certain industry, because all industries work with goal setting. But I think our ICP would be like in the range of 50 to 500 employees. And we talked to the CEO. And we have seen that slightly more traditional industries like processes a lot more than maybe, scale-ups like to do it a lot themselves. So I think if you kind of want process to stick, and we've been working quite nicely with more traditional companies as well.
Nice. I think that actually is a wrong assumption many people have, that traditional industries, we that are from SaaS, that believe that we are the cool kids and so forth, that we are adopting to that kind of change in an innovative way. I would say maybe we aren't that much. Maybe that self-image of us is a little bit wrongly, because you can really see that the traditional, they have to have processes because they have even more complex businesses. Of course, it's a sidetrack, but that is just something I'm sometimes, reflecting upon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I agree with you that tech and SaaS could sound really cool, but sometimes really not. If I have a lot of courses with Dagens Industri and Bonnier with OKRs. And you can see that they, like more traditional companies, actually take a lot more time to reflect and go on a course. It's quite rare that scale-ups and cool tech companies come to these kind of courses. So I can see that, more traditional companies that have been around for some time and has more employees are a bit more reflecting, want the process to be right, and take the time to formulate great goals and take time to set the rhythm. What is it? I'm searching for a word here, like tålamod, patience. Yeah. Like
consistency, maybe. Also.
Yeah, consistency, patience, taking the time to get it right.
Right. Interesting. Okay, so we're gonna obviously dip down into this a little bit later, but now I'm very curious. If we were to meet up IRL. We are lucky to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
In SaaS events and similar female founder stuff and so forth. We have to shape up on that bone. But when we meet up next time and it's an after work, what do I pour in your glass and you think that this is really a great drink?
I love margaritas.
Oh, big fan of mine as well. Quite rarely asked for a drink, I would say. But it's a beautiful... Is it special margarita or just plain simple margarita?
I think they are better served in some other country than Sweden, because I agree with you. It's not that often I get a margarita in Sweden. No. But I've been drinking like fläder. What is fläder? Elflower. Elflower.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice. And I don't take the spicy margarita, but it's really sour and bitter in a way, right? So sour, bitter, and sweet, and I like that.
Sounds great. I love that too. Okay, thank you so much. And now let's see here. What do you want to share with us today about your funniest work-related fuck-up?
So when we started Noxit in the beginning, because I haven't founded any other SaaS company, this is my first one and probably maybe the last as well, who knows. And
I can support you on that, but let's see what the future takes us.
Let's see what the future brings. No, but then of course it's a lot of things that doesn't work in the platform. So when we onboarded our first customer, I was in this workshop with 50 employees and I was attending different rooms, and then the platform suddenly didn't work as it should. So that was kind of a fuck up, right? So you needed to handle a situation where you were onboarding one of your first customers in this huge workshop and walking around there. So I was calling our CTO once, a couple of times during that session. So I think as a company that is, a fuck up and something.
The stress level increased rapidly.
It's not nice that you want everything to be perfect. Nothing is perfect, and it wasn't perfect that time.
We had a small pre-chat that we said it's lucky we don't record this one, even though it would be called like the juicy stuff. So maybe the audience would prefer to listen to that one, but we save it for another day. Yeah. But to run a company, or by all means to raise children, is like nothing is going as planned. It's impossible to keep it perfect. You just have to go into survival mode sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good Swedish expression, Teflon, or goose. You just let everything gets off your shoulder and you just move on. You need to kind of really embrace that. And
So now it's time for what we already start talking a little bit about, but today's topic. We're going to talk about operational excellence from a point of view where the importance of goal setting with OKRs as a method. So you have already a little bit described what OKRs, what it stands for and what it is. But when you, back at the time at Netigate, when you start implemented this, what was it that you more or less fell so much in love with that you actually started your own company about OKRs?
I maybe did not fall in love with anything. It was more like the headache, right? So the headache I wanted to solve. I felt like I had a solution to the headache. So I didn't fall in love with OKRs, and I'm not in love with OKRs even today. But maybe I'm super... Lesser. Yeah, exactly. But I was very excited about solving the problem. And it was the problem of cascading goals in an organization, and the solution to kind of create transparency, alignment, get the communication and the rhythm right. So I was more passionate about the problem and the solution rather than the OKR framework.
Right. And if you were to dig deeper into the pain, obviously when you meet prospects and customers today, before implementing Noxit, of course, but what kind of pain do the organization typically see when OKRs really could help out?
So just an example, I had one of my customers was doing, she is a CEO. It's about 100 employees in this company. And she did the goal setting in spreadsheets and PowerPoint slides. So every January, when they went to the yearly kickoff where they launched their goals, she had about 10 slides that she showed the company. And that slide deck grew into 83 slides. And it became 6 versions of this PowerPoint slide deck also. So it created a lot of confusion, like what version should we work with now? Is it this one or that one?
Right.
And she could really sense that the employees couldn't understand their connection to the overarching goals. And the team leaders couldn't follow up on the goals. So that was the pain, right? So they were doing it in spreadsheet and PowerPoint. It was really disconnected for the rest of the organization and what they were working on. So then they implemented Noxit, and they got a much better way of working with goals. So they set their overarching goals, and what is nice with Noxit is that you assign owners. And here management teams have a great opportunity. Even if you do it outside Noxit, you should cascade goals to the rest of the organization, because I experienced that a lot of management teams sit and own the goals by themselves. But they have so much to do. So it's better if they actually assign someone else in the organization. If, let's say you're a CRO, and you have a sales leader in your team that is great, then you could easily assign a goal to that person. And it's up to that person to break it down and to communicate and inform everyone how you're doing towards that goal or OKR. So I think management team in general could be better at assigning other people in the organization. What I can see is that OKRs often become like this PowerPoint spreadsheet in the management team, and they get no execution power towards the goals because they own it and they have so little time. They need to have time on like having this helicopter overview, and I think they would be better off assigning it to the next level of leaders in the organization.
That is a very interesting advice. And when I worked at GetAccept, when we implemented OKRs, and that must have been like 7 years ago or something like that. So I think it was, I don't know, fairly early, maybe in the Nordics or in the Swedish market. And they were very transparent with it, said like it will take some time for us to find our pace here. What I, as an employee back then, found a little bit tricky was I had my KPIs and then I had my OKRs. Would you please bring your perspective on how to align that and not having, I have my KPIs over here and then I have my OKRs over here, or is that just completely wrong? So no shadow sent over GetAccept, because I think we managed very well and I really liked OKRs, but it was a little bit challenging in the beginning at least.
Yeah, I think you can think about the KPIs as like slightly business as usual or health metrics. So they should be at a certain level in order for you to perform. So like if you're in sales, it would be pickups, picking up the phone, outreach. It would be booking meetings, conducting meetings, sending out offers, and then sales, of course, in the end.
Right.
And if some of these metrics is red for a very long time, you might want to lift it in towards the OKRs and highlight it as a focus area, because that is how they work together really good. So KPIs should be measured probably hourly, daily, weekly, like on a much lower level, while the OKRs is more kind of transformational goals, and you shouldn't get everything into the OKRs. It should be this needs to happen. And if you get everything into OKRs, then nothing will happen probably because it's too much. So it's a way to prioritize what you should focus on. So if you work with business as usual 100% of your time, can you squeeze in some transformational work? Like even if you're a sales rep, like could you spend 2 hours each Friday working on more kind of transformational task, optimizing things that you're doing every week very repeatedly? So I think like what role you're in is also playing a role, right? Because in the management team, you're very transformational focused, and you should probably spend a lot more of your time thinking about executing on what kind of company you will be in 5-7 years. While if you're a sales rep, you need to cover your sales quota here and now. And I think that is a problem with OKRs as well. There is a disconnect because the management team work in another time horizon than the sales rep. And they have difficulties understanding each other. Like the sales rep is maybe like, oh, what kind of fluffy strategy is that? That is not applicable to my daily work. While the management team thinks like, oh, the sales rep does not change the ways of working. Like they're doing everything manually. And AI is here now, and everyone should be able to automate a lot of their daily tasks. Why are they not doing that? Or, there is a disconnect. And I think we need to get better in understanding each other. So I think maybe the management team could understand the business as usual, and maybe the one that works a lot in the bread and butter time horizon here and now with existing customer also need to challenge themselves to be a bit more transformational. Because what I experience when I have been in more transformational roles or like more strategy roles has been that there is no time. There's never no time for any change, like, oh, I need to call customers and then the day's up. So we don't have any time to do anything new. So I think there is a disconnect there. And I think most leaders and people working non-strategically could recognize themselves in this explanation. I don't know if you agree, Wilma.
Yeah, I do. And I'm also like a little bit thinking of the people I'm working with now, but also earlier, if it's like a personal trait. I see some people not the other people then not striving to get better. That is not what I tend to say here. It's more like it feels like some people have in their nature the strive to do things differently, easier, better, whatever you want to call it. And some people are just so busy doing the things that already been assigned. I don't know. I don't know if that is the case or...
But I've been there myself. When I started at Meltwater as a sales consultant in 2011, I was always so busy making more calls, emailing more customers. And then, everything that was transformational or changing ways of working and becoming more efficient. So I do understand both sides because I've been on both sides. And there's not an easy solution to it, but I think just both needs to be aware of that. You need to spend time on, when come back to your question about KPIs and transformational goals, that there needs to be a balance and they need to coexist.
Yeah, definitely. And what is the take on, I don't know if this is yet true, but that OKR could help with more alignment between different departments. Could OKRs help with that, or what's your perspective?
The overarching goals could help a little bit with that. So instead of writing like an objective, we should launch this new functionality. Maybe it could be written like, we will get our first customer on this product, because then marketing could write their objectives towards this goal, and product can write their objectives towards the goal. Tech can do the same, sales can do the same. So I think how it's formulated on the top, right? And then of course they will have some overlapping as well. So if you're really big, it could be complex, but then you come into kind of project management, who does what until when, and when we launch it, and you need to sync it and so on. So the OKR should help with that. I think a pitfall that you should avoid is to have too many dependencies, though, because I've been in customer meetings when everyone had like a list of 20 items they needed from tech before they could start working on their goals. So I think also in your team, you need to kind of brainstorm what kind of problems you have, what kind of change you would like to do, and you should be able to actually work independently towards these goals as well. So there is a balance. So if you have a lot of dependencies, maybe you need some facilitation, because if all departments have 20 dependencies on tech, they might be able to solve 1, 2, 3 at the most in maybe a quarter. So it needs to be facilitated from the management team.
Right. And you talked a little bit earlier about the pace. Could you describe a little bit 1 year with OKRs, how the pace looks like if you typically run it on a year, or then otherwise guide me.
So the rhythm, I often talk about the rhythm.
Oh, the rhythm, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So I think a good rhythm that works for most companies is on the company level, you would have yearly OKRs. And on the team level, you would have quarterly OKRs. So you could have a mixed rhythm. And if you're a very small company, you could have a quarterly rhythm on company OKRs as well. But if you're a large company, it could take too much of your time, because what you want to do is like plan and evaluate. So it could be like too much time spent on planning and evaluating. If you have a quarterly rhythm and you're above 70 people, then it could be too much syncs needed. So then it could be better to have like a yearly, that's my recommendation. Yearly OKRs on company level, quarterly OKRs on team level. So you would typically work slightly different. So the management team take care of the company OKRs, and you would set them in the best worlds in December and communicate them December before you go on Christmas. These are the yearly company OKRs. And if it's, in the perfect world, the teams would then set their goals beginning of January to the quarter. But that's where it gets complicated, right? Because a company is not that lean and efficient that you get 1 week of planning and then you start executing. That's where it fails, right? Because it's so many chefs cooking the soup. But I think if you have a strong leader like CEO, COO, Chief Strategy Officer, HR, like someone strong facilitating this process, then it could be quite successful. I work with one HR leader in Paris that is so good in facilitating this process. So I think that's a really strong ambassador. Like we have this week to do the company OKRs. Then he goes out in the team, does the same for 1 week, and then it's set, and then they start working and executing. Then it's the quarterly business review. Then they follow up on the company level. All teams are presenting, and then they move into the new cycle the next quarter. And then he does the same. But he's really, he's fantastic doer in that sense. And it's rare that companies get the rhythm right. But I think if you have a software like Noxit, it will definitely help you with the rhythm, because you would get kind of notification when it's time to plan, when deadline passed, when you need to start working in a certain way. So I think the rhythm is probably where companies struggle the most.
Interesting, very interesting. And talking about pitfalls, we have touched upon a couple, but moving on to even
more
worse pitfalls.
more
and worse.
Okay, so the rhythm I said, but I think also formulating key results. So when you work with OKRs, you have the objective, and that's the direction you're heading. The key result should be measurable, and then you have the activities or the key initiatives. So there's 3 components of OKRs. And I think people in general depend, like it's not depending on anything. Like I think people in general is really bad. They're really bad in committing to a key result. So because you often have a hypothesis, right? So if we launch this feature, you never sold this feature before. If you're a SaaS company, you're developing a feature, then the CRO, let's say, should commit to a sales goal. Like we're going to sell 10 million of this feature. It's really stressful to commit to that number, right? Because you never sold this functionality ever before. You have probably not had the time to do the proper research on the market and how much you will be able to sell it. There's no time for that. So then you need to take a bet, like, let's put in 10 million. But what comes really easy for us is the activities. Yeah, we're going to reach out to this list. We're going to email 5,000 clients about this feature. So the activities comes really natural for us. So that's what most company does. Like they have the objective, which would be the area or theme of the goal. So it could be like customer success. But maybe you want to describe what do you want to achieve with customer success. Yeah, we want to launch this functionality and sell this functionality towards these customers before entering the new year or whatever. You want to, now I'm talking a lot, but I'm coming back to the key results, sorry. So the key results, like all the activities, what's the effect you're after? You're after sales. So then you need to commit to 10 million of ARR or whatever it could be. And that's really difficult for people. So I think that's a pitfall, to commit to a number where you are allowed to elaborate on the numbers. So it's not someone else that says you're going to sell. It's almost easier if someone else come to you and say you're going to sell 10 million of this feature. It's easier than committing to it to yourself. And there I think people struggle a lot. Committing to numbers,
like the overall like responsibility for it. Sorry, you were saying lagging.
Revenue is a lagging indicator, right? A lot of things happen and you get a revenue number, but then it's easier to commit to leading indicators. And leading indicators could be like, we're going to send this offer to 100 customers, and then you measure 100. So it's a lot more easy. Do you understand what I mean? It's that's kind of okay if I put sweat, tears, and hard work into this, I'm going to achieve it, right? I'm going to email 100 customers until I have 100, and then I got the goal. And I think junior people could actually do the leading indicators a lot easier than the lagging one, because the lagging one is the effect you're after, which is sales. And then you need maybe some kind of experience or have done it before to be able to understand the how. While leading indicators could be very good for a junior employee. So another example could be like publish 10 blog posts that follows the content plan and that they are search engine optimized, let's say. Then they know what to do, right? They're going to post 10 blog posts and they should follow the content plan and it should be search engine optimized. So it gives them a lot of guidance because goals could also be really difficult to understand if it's like a revenue number and you're junior and you have never done it before, then it can create a lot of stress. So that's why you should have a mix of leading and lagging.
Interesting. Very interesting. I could really see that. A leading one is more, I wouldn't say, maybe less risk, or it's more
It's action-oriented, right?
It's actually much easier to understand and to commit to than to just have a number to reach. I mean, how could I? It's like running a company. That's why I'm almost started laughing. It's like you have never done it before. You haven't. You can also always see that you could do more research or learn more about the in category, whatever, but you just have to take a bet. And I could really see how that approaches more senior people, because then you can at least have some confidence in other things that you've done earlier. But if you have a leading KPI or OKR, then it's more, okay, this is what I should do, and I could control myself that I'm actually going to do it. So there is also a perspective, I believe. Okay, that is one pitfall. Do we have anything else that you want to address that's could help people to hear your point of view?
Yeah, now it's getting really nerdy, but I talked about the objectives, that they are more like themes, and many people just enter them as themes, like customer success, new sales, product feature X, AI. Like, do you understand? Like, they're more kind of themes.
Right.
But let's focus on the theme AI. What do you want to achieve with AI? I ask the customer, like, what do you want to achieve with AI? And then we talk about it for some time, and then I can hear like, but you want to become more like efficient, like operational excellence, or what are we after that? Become more efficient. So maybe we want to describe that And then the objective could be better, like we are an efficient organization that leveled up our work with AI, or something like more like a mental image, like when we get out of this year, what have we achieved with AI? Because just as a theme, it's easy, it's more like a label, so it's easy for you to remember AI, but you don't place like any mental image in anyone with just AI. So what do you want to achieve within that area? Maybe formulate that in a short, crisp way. So maybe you want to dig deeper when formulating goals. So new customers, let's say, like what are we really after here? Yeah, we want to increase the sales pipeline with more enterprise companies. Maybe that is more clear to everyone than just new customers.
More customers, yeah, true. Okay, so the people who have now worked with Noxit for a year or so, or companies in general working with OKRs, do you have any measurement, typical things that you can really see these companies improves with in numbers?
We have actually in a few companies measured this. I talked to the skiing resort Tänndalen the other week, which is a fantastic ski resort in Sweden, by the way. Yeah. And they measured actually awareness around goals. So they asked a question from 1 to 5, like what is your awareness about the goals? And before Noxit, so they had 3.9 before they started with OKRs and Noxit. And they had 4.5 in less than a quarter in the same question.
Oh, wow.
So it actually increased 0.6, yeah. And then we have Planacy as a customer as well. And they increased their awareness. They asked the question differently, but I think they increased awareness around the goals with 70%, and they could also see 160% better goal achievement. And they saved 200 hours in their organization.
Wow. That is really, you should have said that when I asked, could I have some bragging about Noxit?
Yeah.
But that's amazing, really, how you then align towards those goals, you understand them, you get them moved away from the PowerPoint to the action organization working towards the same goal. That's fantastic.
And I think we are where like CRM systems were in 10 years, because you actually had your customers in Excel sheets and spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And that's where we are with goals now. We have our goals in spreadsheets and Excel sheets, but it's still the most precious and important things we have internally, right? What are we about to achieve? And we have it in Excel and spreadsheets. And it's not made for dynamic goal management.
We're soon 15 people. I really could see that my spreadsheets are going out the window during this year. Definitely. Okay, that is crazy. And I was actually selling CRM for 10, 15 years ago. And then we talked about that 15% of all the companies in Sweden had a CRM. And to me, that was just crazy, brought up in, for good or bad, brought up in SaaS, been selling CRM for a couple of years. And then I find this statistic that like 15% of all the Swedish company has a CRM. It's like, what do all the others do? I mean, so huge market, obvious for you guys to approach. And maybe the last question that I have from a customer point of view, why is it important that we at VLOXQ implement Noxit and work with OKRs? Why is it important for them that we are working with this?
That's a really good question, because that's the next step, right? But I think when you start a company, you're really customer obsessed, right? So you want to build the best. For us, it's a SaaS product. You want to build the best SaaS product there has ever been within this space. And you want the customers to love it, right? So when you talk to customers, you're quite customer obsessed, especially when you're starting up. You love your customers so much because they have taken a bet in you. They know they're quite early customers of yours, so they support you, and they probably your biggest supporters, because they actually pay you for something that might not be fully done yet. So it's kind of it's you, at least for us, we've been loving our customers a lot, and the goals is always set towards the customers, right? even when you have goals around employee satisfaction or employee engagement, it's because you can see that if the employees are engaged, then the customers will be more happy too. So all the goals is always for the customers, right? It's never for, so some companies might be for the owners' pockets, I don't know, but most startups and companies out there are quite customers obsessed. And I think when you are not customer obsessed and think about your customers when you set your goal, then you might become too big. And I can see a lot of internal focused goals as well. So let's say just an example there, like data security, right? So we need to be more data secure. Why do you need to be more data secure? Yeah, then it's probably a goal around our customers' data is safe with us. Right. So it's about the customers in them. So I think companies that's a pitfall as well. Companies can be a lot more external focused when setting their goals, but I think that's why we have goals, right? So
thank you so much. I thought I knew a lot about OKRs, but I didn't. I learned so much today. Very interesting and very understandable. So thank you for that, Sophie. And now you are going to wing an answer to an earlier podcast's guest question.
My name is Sophie Hedestad. I am the CEO of Kundo, and my question is, how do you balance investing in future growth under significant OPEX pressure?
Yeah, I think most companies struggle a lot, right? Because this is what we talked about earlier, kind of transformation versus kind of bread and butter here and now, right?
Yeah.
So I think if I talk about these horizons again, there is actually, I know it's McKinsey's horizon, strategic horizons from the beginning. So there is Horizon 1, Horizon 2, Horizon 3, and the management team probably work in Horizon 3, thinking about what kind of company are we later on. And Horizon 1 would be the people working here and now with the customers. So I think you should staff your organization according to this horizon, right? And that's Horizon 3 would be the management team. Horizon 2 would be the team leaders that needs to have a leg in both sides. And Horizon 1 would be the persons working with the customers here and now, like quite short horizon, like month, day, week. So I think you need to staff your organization right. So you cannot have too many leaders working strategically, and you cannot have everyone working operationally. So I think you should have a good balance there, and I think that's why we have org charts, right? We have few on top, and then we have more team leaders, and then we have even more employees. So if we think about it as a triangle, you should staff your organization accordingly. So you need to have strategic people not working with bread and butter here and now.
Right. Very interesting. I'll connect you to, do you know each other since before?
I think I'm connected to Sophia. Yeah, I recognize her.
You should grab a lunch.
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
I will tag her, of course, when I share about this episode as latest. I promise you that. Okay, very good. It's always tricky, you got a question in that you haven't time to prepare, and then it's a smart person saying something bright, like, oh, and then you just go with it. But some final questions. What are your main challenges in your business right now, problem that you're addressing? You mentioned in the beginning that you were out raising capital from VC firms. Are we closed, or is it still opportunity for people out there? Or
we actually finalized the pitch deck last week, so we're starting the conversation now.
Wow! Yeah, exciting times! Huge opportunity.
Yeah, it is. It will be.
And
super.
Is this like your main challenge right now, or something else that you'd like to highlight?
So I think we have a couple of challenges. So it's like
Good to hear.
I think the platform is really strong now. So I think that has been a big focus 2024. So I think onboarding new customers, also customer success. So for us, we're onboarding often the management team, and then it's the next level of leaders. And after that, it's the employees. So you fold it out in 3 batches, kind of. So also customer success focus now, and fundraising, of course. So
no biggies.
Yeah, no biggies. No biggies.
Okay. Very exciting time. Is there a specific type of VCs you're reaching out to? Someone listen to this. Who would they know that they are a great fit for you?
So I think VCs that is investing in our stage would be kind of early stage investors. Seed. It's a seed round. So early stage investors, early stage VCs would be applicable. And not only in Sweden and Nordics, we also talk to investors in wider Europe and North America.
So exciting. We have to record another podcast when you are finalized with all the learnings. I'm sure there is a huge of them. And I'm wondering, who else would you like me to invite to Fail and Grow?
You maybe had a lot of people that we have a lot of common friends, right? So I think when I was CMO, we had this CMO network. So I think Frida Arenby probably already been. I'm just assuming, Sanja Gabler from Trapets.
No.
Yeah, she would be very interesting. Fredrika Bennison at Combify.
Wow, so many.
What else? Helene Agering at Spaintop Ventures.
I have to ask you for a list afterwards.
Johanna, CMO at Mentimeter.
I think I've approached her, listened to a podcast with her for many years ago, and I was so impressed. She was really, really good. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Thank you so much. And the best part, I'm not pregnant anymore. We are sharing a margarita, and this song comes up, and I know this was a good week in Sophie's life. What are we listening to then? Your favorite after-work song?
You know, I'm into this. I like the 90s because I am born 86. So I like the 90s.
Good year.
Yeah. And this Euro dance I listen to a lot. Can you help me?
Oh, you know.
Like rhythm is a dancer and stuff like that. Gives me a good... yeah, let's take that one.
Let's take that one. Well, Sophie, thank you so much for joining and for all the learnings. And the best of luck with raising capital. I'm sure you will achieve more than you ever dream of. So thank you so much and cheers. Have a great weekend.
Same to you. Take care and speak soon, Wilma.